Hello, lads and lasses. Welcome back to the Unsolicited Film Reviews podcast. If you listened to last week or last Sunday's episode that Martin did solo, you know that I was in a house fire. I'm having some throat slash lung problems, so please excuse the voice. We're gonna make this a short episode, like maybe a little bit longer than last week because Martin was just doing the 10-minute recap. But these are short episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which we will be recapping for the next 4 weeks. So, how you doing, Martin?
I'm doing all right. Like a lot of a lot of North America, I think we had pretty big snowstorm today, and so I basically stuck around my house. Didn't even go out to watch the Seahawks win. I just stayed and watched that at home. But definitely loving this new adventure in Westeros so far. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm all in for it.
So obviously, I didn't get a chance to rebut any of your points from last week. But first of all, and we talked about this via text, but I cannot believe you missed out on the shitting scene.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I even had it in my notes, but then when there's no pauses, if you're just trying to do it solo, doing it solo is really quite different. I didn't actually look down at my notes, and so I missed that entirely. But yeah, the beginning of last week's scene where it seems like the familiar Game of Thrones theme is starting to swell, and then it just cuts to the shitting, which again I appreciated because one of my pet peeves about House of the Dragon was that they used the same damn theme music. So I'm very glad that they didn't do it for yet another Westeros series.
Yeah, at first I was kind of trepidatious about our boy Raman Javadi not coming back for his third Game of Thrones series, but I think it actually works out well because it's an entirely different tone
Yeah,
than the other
definitely.
two. So I actually think it's a good move to have this kind of like I forgot what the composer's name was, but it's like I love like the whistling in the background, like kind of like cowboy esque, and the whole like
Yeah,
buddy
yeah,
cop
very. Yeah.
drama. But yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying these first two episodes.
Me too. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, even as I said last week, and it kind of carried on to this week, not a lot, quote unquote, happens in these episodes so far. And yet I'm fully invested. The characters are great. The whole tourney atmosphere is fantastic. We haven't really seen that kind of thing fleshed out very well before in Westeros. We've seen a little bit of it, but not really like down to the nitty-gritty of getting into, at night trying to get in and get on the lists and all that kind of stuff. And then even at the end of this one, when we get into well, I guess we can get into this later, but the what's going to happen next week, if you stayed around and watched that little segment at the end, it seems like maybe do they get to choose who they challenge? Like all these little like cool little details about the tourneys that, we haven't seen before. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I love how low the stakes are in
Yeah.
a weird way because
Yeah.
the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, it's all about civil war and who's vying for the Iron Throne, and we barely get to encounter many of the small folk and the lower class in Westeros, and you know George R. R. Martin for never actually finishing a story is still one of the best world builders of all time. So yeah, it's so good to just like get kind of down in the muck with these seemingly to just these peasant. Well, I mean, Sir Duncan the Tall is a knight, but
Yeah.
like
Sort of.
the lowest of the low as far as knights go. And Egg, he has a I've again. I think you mentioned this last week. I have read the books and you haven't, so I don't want to get into too many of into any spoilers whatsoever. But
Yeah, although there are two spoilers that we basically know from Game of Thrones, and so we could probably say them because I assume that most of the people who watch the show watched Game of Thrones, and so we can probably say right out, like we know that Egg isn't just a poor boy from Flea Bottom, and we know that from Maester Aemon up in the Night's Watch when he was talking about a little boy from his youth. So we kind of know where he belongs. And then the other spoiler is that Sir Duncan, which there was some interesting foreshadowing of in this episode, is that Sir Duncan becomes a member of the Knights Guard because they
Things
talk.
are.
Sorry, the King's Guard, because they talk about that in a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones. So those are kind of the two spoilers that we already know, but there's a lot more mystery around some of this other stuff.
So, yeah, I just wanted to make a few points because I was absent last week. But you want to take us through a bit of what happened in this episode?
Right. So in this episode, it basically starts off with Duncan trying to tell as many people as he can the story of Sir Arlon of Pennytree and his giant cock. In that one scene. um, but that's not the story he's telling, but that was an interesting flashback. But it's yeah, so he's basically trying to tell as many people the story of this night as possible to get somebody to agree to sponsor him. And then there's a lot of trumpets and a lot of fanfare, and the Targaryens arrive. Now, these are different Targaryens that we've seen in House of the Dragon. They arrive on horseback. All the dragons are dead by this point, but they are still the dominant ruling house in Westeros. And he ends up basically sort of spying on a conversation, but ends up getting, luckily, the Prince of Dragonstone to vouch for him and actually somehow remembered his old master and basically allows him to be in the lists. And that's pretty much the main thrust of this episode. And then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff. He's involved in a tug of war with our good buddy the Laughing Storm, who's back and hilarious again. It's there's a lot of other just really funny moments.
Yeah,
But that's
he was only in the one sequence, but still just
yeah.
stealing the show.
Yeah, he just pisses off in the middle of the tug of war to go have a drink
I'm
and then comes
thirsty. I'm
back at
thirsty.
the end. That's just, yeah, he's by far the best Baratheon we've ever seen so far. He's hilarious. In general, actually, I think this show is the funniest out of all the Westeros
Oh,
series so far. I mean, Game
oh,
of Thrones had its funny moments, but this one, there's just constant humor like throughout. Just it's great. There's so many
yeah.
quotes that I wrote
If
down
there's
on this.
a I think one of the major flaws of House of the Dragon. I mean, I'm still a big fan of it, but it's so self serious,
Yes, yeah, it is. I
and
mean, I
this
guess
is
it is about a civil war, so it lends itself to more serious tone. But you're right; it's not as fun and entertaining as this one is, certainly.
and again, these are like just bite size. 30. Last week was like a 44 minutes, but that's going to be the excuse me, the longest episode of the season this year, and yeah, it's just such a great time. Just just dipping into Westeros for about 35 minutes a week. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, and just all these funny characters and the funny scenes, like the I love the the scene with Dunk trying to chat up the mummer girl, and
Mm,
Egg at first is almost like kind of cock blocking him because Egg's really interested in how everything works, but then he kind of starts to become his wingman in a way, and
mhm.
that whole scene was just hilarious, just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, the chemistry between between Dunk and Egg is amazing, and I'd imagine it was just like it must have been so hard to find like like a 25-year-old guy and an 11-year-old that had like on-screen chemistry like that, and like I said earlier, just like a buddy cop comedy. It's yeah, just totally digging it.
Yeah, we should just mention just to shout them out. So Dunk is played by Peter Claffey, and Egg is played by Dexter Soul Ansel. And yeah, so far I agree. The chemistry between the two of them is fantastic. And so yeah, the casting sessions must have been really interesting for that. I mean, obviously the Duncan character, you need to find somebody who's really tall. And Dexter Soul Ansel in all the publicity stuff and the red carpets and everything, he's bald. So I don't know if he's just keeping his look from the show or if the kid actually is bald. But
I've seen him with his natural blonde hair on some things. So I don't know if that was
oh, okay.
post filming, pre filming. I don't know when that happened, but
Right,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. And maybe they're already getting on filming for because I believe season two is well, season two actually has already been approved, has been greenlit. It that happened before the first episode aired. So maybe they're starting to get ready to film season two because I think the idea is it will come out next year, next summer, and then they'll kind of alternate House of the Dragon and it, even though this summer we're lucky and we're getting both.
Yep, and we will be covering both. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love just getting into the books without spoiling anything a little bit. This is the most faithful adaptation of any Westeros series so far, and it's not just the most faithful. Um, because the series is based on three novellas that have come out so far, but the novellas are only about 150 pages or so, and you know they're doing 6 episodes. Yes, they're shortened; they're only about a half hour a piece, but still, they're actually adding stuff instead of having to contract. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm
that's
that,
great.
another thing I just love about this series so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The acting we've already talked about is great. I love Dunk's sort of constant look of bewilderment when he's talking to people because he just never knows what to say. And that goes back to the very first lines we hear in the entire series, which
Hmm,
is, I don't have the right words.
right.
And that seems to be his kind of constant state. He just never has the right words, right? Including when he's talking to the Targaryens. And he's like, "Well, I trust they won't be found dead," when he's talking about their sons, and everybody in the room is just kind of shocked, like what a terrible thing to say.
I know it is. Yeah, and he's so earnest.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I love that they got a guy with an Irish accent to play him because it just seems without trying to be offensive, like not highborn, I guess.
yeah,
And yeah, they're both amazing, but yeah, he's just and we still don't know if he actually was knighted or not. But
yeah.
I mean, he's always out to kind of do the right thing. So I mean, I kind of think that he was, or at the very least, that his old master planned on knighting him and died before he had the chance to. And we never see any of these flashbacks in the books, so I think that's a great addition as well.
Right. And the other thing about the flashbacks is I think they're meant to be his images of what happened. So again,
Mm,
we don't know if he's an unreliable narrator. Like it does
good
seem
point.
like he's
Yep.
earnest and honest, but maybe he's kind of looking at things in the past through rose-colored glasses and thinking, "Oh, that's what he really meant to do." And certainly in this episode, it seemed like those flashbacks were a lot more positive and upbeat than they were
Mm,
in the first episode. So again, we don't really know what happened, but I kind of like that uncertainty because in a way it almost doesn't really matter, right? I mean,
mhm.
he's the bottom of the rung anyway, as the one prostitute said last week. He's a knight but sad. So he's starting at the bottom. It's just a question of how he's going to climb. And this episode was a good one to set the stage because now by the end of this episode, he is in the lists, and it seems like the next day, so this next episode, we might finally see him fight. And that's the other big mystery is we don't actually know if he's any good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like we have no clue. We haven't seen him do anything. And so he could fall on his ass the first couple of times. We just really have no clue. And that's kind of exciting. That final scene, we finally did get some action in this episode in the end when there's this big sort of night joust between a 5-on-5 and night joust. And his face as he's watching it. At first, I thought his look was, "Oh shit, I'm really in over my head." And at first, maybe that's what it was. But then when he's talking with Egg later on, and they're back at their little elm tree, He seems to be more thinking, you know what, those guys are these big great knights, but I'm gonna prove myself, damn it. And so
Mhm.
maybe it was more a look of like gritty confidence than it was
Mhm.
a look of I'm over my head. What did you get in that scene, and especially watching him watch the jousts?
Yeah, I thought pretty much a similar thing. I think I was more on the side that he was more like, oh shit. But yeah, I don't. I mean, he has this kind of dumb confidence to him.
Yeah, that's true.
Where he's just like, well, and plus at this point he has no other options.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's already pot committed. So
yeah, yeah.
he has no choice but to be confident or just lose. But
Yeah, and I
yeah,
love that conversation with the armor. I plan to be a champion. Oh, and I guess everybody else around here just is here to cheer you on. Like,
yeah. Yeah, one news story I heard earlier this week is that the movie A Knight's Tale was forbidden to be spoken about
yes.
on set because it is so similar. But to be fair to George R. R. Martin, the first Hedge Knight book came out 2 years before A Knight's Tale. So,
Yeah.
but I was really pleased that both episodes ended in the same spot, like just but
Mm,
Duncan A just sleeping under the tree, and I thought that was a very nice kind of literary device.
yeah.
Um, this whole season is going to center around this tourney, and again, just spending 6 episodes just around one tourney when Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon was just such massive scope,
Hmm.
just shrinking everything down into this this hedge knight and his little bald squire is just so cool, and again just absolutely loving it.
But the whole world is kind of there. I mean, it released the whole world of Westeros, right? I mean, we're not getting any of the Tyroshis or anything like that, but we're getting, we're getting all of the big houses have pretty much been named, or we've seen their banners or something so far. And then we're getting, as you say, all the small folk too, all the poor people, the hedge knights, but also the prostitutes, the serving, the squires, the all that kind of stuff. Where it's kind of all there at this tournament, which is kind of neat. So yeah, it's very contained in terms of location, but we're still getting a big scope of the sort of who's who of Westeros in this show, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and again, I've just been laughing my ass. I mean, as far
Oh
as I
yeah.
can with my throat,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
just been laughing my ass off through both episodes. And as you said, yeah, there was finally some action, and man, that tourney scene was so well done. Um, just like the impact of the knights lancing each other was amazing, and that one shot of the one knight like straddling his horse and like scooping his shield off the ground.
Yes.
That was so
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah, after he, because yeah, something I can't remember what happens, but he kind of his horse veers off course and crashes through the barrier and he falls off. And the horse keeps running. And then when the horse is running back, he basically does like a Legolas from the Lord of the Rings and like grabs on and hauls himself back up on his horse and then grabs his shield. Yeah, the that was just a great choreography of that whole scene was fantastic.
Yeah, and I was really, like I said, it was very faithful to the source material, but I was really hoping that they'd do the five jousts all at once.
Mm.
And it almost reminds me of like the group stage of a World Cup, where like
Right.
all these matches are happening at once, and then
Yeah.
they get less and less, and then finally you get the championship match. But I was
Yeah.
like,
Or
man,
like
that's
the
so,
first couple of days of March Madness or something
yeah,
like
exactly,
that.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're getting a lot, and obviously it's all focused on this tournament, but we don't really still understand all the rules yet. And I think that's partly by design because it's clear that Dunk doesn't really understand what's going on either.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think in a way, maybe they're trying to they don't want to put us, the audience, too far ahead of Dunk.
Mm.
And so I assume that they're doing that purposely because
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like it's starting, and then all of a sudden these guys are jousting, but we don't know because Dunk's in the list. Why isn't he jousting there? And then again, as I said, in the next week on thing, it seems like he's going to directly challenge one of the Targaryens. So maybe that's up to him who he faces off against. It's all a little unclear, but I'm wondering if that's probably a conscious choice of them to keep us not too far ahead of Dunk.
Yeah, great point, and I will stay silent on that point because I do know what's gonna happen. But
Okay.
man, it was so sad when he had to sell his horse.
Yeah, I mean, he did have three. I'm not sure, and so I guess what one would have been sort of a fighting horse. One would have been a
Yeah, there's a,
pack
there's a
horse.
yeah, there's a palfrey, a oh God, I forgot what the giant horses are called, like the war horses. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a pack horse, like a just like a regular riding horse
yeah.
and a war horse.
And so it was kind of happened pretty quickly. Which one did he actually sell?
The pack horse.
The pack horse. Okay, okay, right.
I know,
So
but like they cast the horses as well because the eyes were so expressive. He's like, "Oh, please don't sell me, Papa."
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, to the humor in this episode, at the very beginning when he sort of calms down one of the Targaryen horses after it kicks
Hmm.
somebody right out and then leads it into the stable. And then just at the very end of that scene, there's some guy leading another horse in, and he's like, "Are you Baelor Targaryen?" And he's like, "No, no." Well, then would you move the fuck out of the way?
Yeah,
Just great stuff.
yeah. I mean, I think that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's it was a really fun episode and yeah, can't wait for more and definitely hoping we get more Laughing Storm. He's
Hmm.
my favorite character
Oh,
so far.
we will.
So, okay, that's good stuff. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode as well and hope you enjoyed this recap.
Yep, and like I said, there's only four more episodes left, and the action does ramp up with every passing episode. I can guarantee you guys that. So, and hopefully the comedy will keep up as well, because that's
Yeah,
one of the most pleasantly surprising things about this series.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm Zach Miller. He's Martin Cook, and again, sorry for my voice. Hopefully, it'll be better next week, and we'll see you next week on the Unsolicited Film Reviews podcast. I forgot what the hell did you name this again?
I named it Westeros Unsolicited.
Westeros Unsolicited. Okay, we'll see you next week on Westeros Unsolicited. And we're coming to you this week with Martin's favorite movies as well on
That's
Thursday.
right.
Well,
That's right.
we'll come out on Friday, but we're recording on Thursday. So yeah.
Bye, everyone.